It's time for another installment of the Holistic Happy Hour with Devoya and Jason. The Holistic Happy Hour is dedicated to addressing the health and mental wellness of underserved communities of color. Join hosts Devoya and Jason as they quiz, question, and converse with cultural brokers, complementary healers, and other wellness providers and community folks.
Our guest today is Dana Clark. Dana is a certified yoga instructor based in Fresno, California. Dana is a working mother of two, a self-motivated community partner with the Holistic Center, and is someone who is fully dedicated to decolonizing the practice of yoga and creating safe space for those who are new to the practice and wish to learn without fear of being othered. Please join us as we welcome our guest today, Ms. Dana Clark. Holistic Cultural Education Wellness Center here in Fresno. The title, A Libation for Your Soul, comes from the definition, which is a libation is a ritual pouring of liquid or grains, such as rice, as an offering to a deity or a spirit, or in memory of the deceased. It was common in many religions of antiquity and continues to be offered in cultures today. And we know that it is powerful and it is symbolic. So my first question to my friend, Ms. Dana Clark, who is a certified yoga instructor and community advocate here in Fresno. Can you tell us something that's ritualistic for you and your soul? And if you don't have anything of that nature, what would you like it to look like?
So currently, I think my morning routine is what is ritualistic for me right now. I get up, try not to scroll, do any of that.
In the AM? No scrolling in the AM?
Sometimes. I'm not perfect with it, but I try. But I always make an intention to connect spiritually to the divine, to God, because that's just where I'm at in my life right now. I rely heavily on spirituality and the divine leading me, and which can also be my intuition. And so I pay attention to those things daily by getting up and praying, meditating, trying to move my body, although lately I haven't been doing that as much. And that's just my way of connecting. So, yeah.
I like it, Ms. Dana.
Reading is a very big thing, like whether it's poetry, books, writing, words are very ritualistic to me. So that's a big part of every morning.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
What about you, Jason Delgado?
You know, I'm kind of the same. I try to do my things in the morning, but being an old guy, I base all my stuff off of one of my political shows come on.
Oh, man, yeah.
So
I'm like,
identify with that.
You know, if I'm going to, go check the mail or whatever it is I got to do, usually get up, put the kettle on and have my tea and just have a moment to myself to I think I just try to be in the moment with my tea. I think that's the biggest thing, because I know that I'm very distracted easily. So as long as I can be in the moment and appreciate the warm liquid and the leaves that are just connecting with the earth that way and connecting with myself that way, connecting with the moment. And if that doesn't happen, I could tell it's not going to be a good day.
Yeah, it determines a lot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I echo the sentiments of both of you. Those are combinations of things that I enjoy in the morning, especially the quiet. I don't know that I ever noticed quiet quite as much as I'm noticing now in this new normal that we have. I sense that more often I'm looking for those quiet spaces and that focus in the morning. And morning is not my ideal time of day, quite honestly. So for me to feel that way is pretty monumental. And I'm glad you all don't mind sharing that with both myself and our listeners too.
Yeah.
Stillness. Sorry.
No.
But being still and being in the quiet, that is, I forgot, that's a huge part of what I need in my day. Like I need it. If I don't get up at a certain point in time, like 6 o'clock, 6 a.m., even earlier, because the kids get up and they want to talk and play. Like I noticed if I don't have that gap, my day is completely like yep. And so I have to have that time where it's just nothing.
What is this 6 a.m. thing though? That's like the new. I talked to, it's 6 a.m. and I unfortunately trained myself to wake up at 6 a.m. 2 weeks ago, so that I could be in the presence of my beautiful Uncle Glenn Mayo, because he's an early riser, and I can't get back into my 7:45 waking up and getting ready for work in 15 minutes. But I can't get back. Everybody just texts at 6 a.m. or call, and I'm like, what? How did I not know this was a thing?
6 a.m. I have to do, because it's 5 or 6. Like I have to do if I want to have that time to myself, because otherwise there's people. Like I'm here with my mom, my 2 kids, and they're all scrambling to get my attention or to tell me something or to have me do something. So it's like if I don't have that time, and then I'm off to work. So then it's there's no time. But I'm also an early. Yeah, I'm also a early bird. I like being up in the morning. First time doing that.
You too, Jason?
I don't know why.
I do. I actually do. But back in the days when 2-3 months ago when I had a 9 to 5, it was pretty. Same thing. I would get up and go for a run. I would get up. I'm weird. Like with how I find that moment, but I do prefer the morning because it's you just said it's more quiet. I think it's still, and especially for me where I'm at now, because I'm in Oregon, and I live on a second-story apartment, and behind me is a mountain with trees, and there's it's super lush, and it's like I don't have to move more than out to the driveway of my complex to you hear the birds just singing, and you could just
that's beautiful.
Everything just rains, just rains all over you. But yeah, you don't get that once the cars start coming.
That's true.
Yeah.
I will give it its perks. Now that I do get up this early, and I hate to admit it, I get so much done. And then in the middle of the day, I want to take a nap, and it just makes me feel like I'm aging myself by doing this,
Taking the nap, yeah, I know.
It's not just the nap, the getting up early too. But I see the advantages of it. I really do, and it's a whole different scene. I'm trying to get used to. So.
But it's also true that everybody has a different circadian rhythm in their body, and so it's like you may be you're a very creative person, so you may like to stay up late. I mean, this is just stuff that I've read. It's all theory, so who knows if it's true. I mean, I'm creative. You seem like a creative person too. But
what you're saying, so I'm going to take it at face value.
Right, yeah. But I noticed like creatives, people that like to write, paint, and stuff like that, they tend to stay up later, and so they rise later in the day too. So, I mean, that's just a theory. Who knows if that's actually true? But everybody has a different way of being.
Rolling these days, especially these days, right?
Yep.
I feel like when I was younger, I was more productive later. Like I would stay up late, and now that I'm older, it's flipped. I have to get up early and go to bed early.
Yep, that's true too. Yep.
And I have to, like 10, like my body is just like no.
Brain.
Is it 10 p.m.? Oh my goodness.
At 10 p.m., I'm like, ooh, what can I get into? But there's nothing to get into, and it kind of makes me a little bit sad, because 10 p.m. is 10 a.m. is also my favorite time of day.
Okay.
10 a.m. is my favorite time of night. So I'm having to switch everything, and I'm just getting in a little rhythm with y'all. I'll be there sooner or later.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a big daydreamer. I've always been a big daydreamer. And so now that I'm older, I'd like to find out, because when you do that, you think everybody has the same sort of things that you think about on their heart as well. That is not the case. And I really like, you know who my favorite people to ask this question is to?
Oh.
Kids. Kids will tell you, kids.
Yeah.
Little people instantly tell you, oh, they don't even ask what daydreaming is about. They just sputter off all the different things. So,
I know mine.
you know yours?
I do.
Okay.
I think that you should share yours first.
Absolutely. It's really, really corny. And,
Mine too.
I honestly dream about being financially stable doing what I love.
Okay. Yes.
That's like what I think about mostly, and that's like what I fantasize about mostly.
That's not corny in the least bit. Not in my opinion.
Well, I think it might be like a typical answer. I think a lot of people have that same kind of center.
We're going to have to do this many times for this podcast. So we're going to do our own little data collection and see.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I think that's a really good barometer there.
Yeah.
How about you, lady?
So, on top of that, because that is definitely I'm constantly thinking about how I can make money while giving back to my community. My latest thing was getting my master's in public health, which that's definitely not going to create financial freedom, but it's something that I've started daydreaming about. Like, what is it that I want to give to the community, and how can I do that with still feeding my family and myself? I don't need to be a billionaire or anything like that, but that's definitely, over the past week, that has been a big thing for me. And just figuring out how to restructure what it is that I want to do without having to go back to school, if that makes sense.
It does.
Taking that structure and then applying it to just moving in the world with the connections that I have and the people that I know, and making some change. It's huge. But also dancing. Like, and incorporating dance into my yoga practice.
Oh.
Yeah, because yoga, like, it's movement, but I feel like there needs to be a little bit more rhythm to it. And so I daydream, because music, I've told you this all the time, Devoya, music is a huge part of my yoga practice. Mm-hmm. Like, I think you once joked, like, if I could have a live band in the back of my of my classes, I would do that. But
the roots, so, by the way.
Huh?
I visualized you having the roots behind you when I said that, by the way.
Yes, okay.
I was like, she can get down with that.
Yes, absolutely. And so I daydream about that, incorporating music and dance and more rhythm.
What is yours, Devoya?
Oh, yeah,
what are you daydreaming
actually,
about?
Yeah.
Mine is, it's corny, but I don't mind that it's corny. I would love to have a plot of land in West Fresno, the area I grew up in, the area that is the most disenfranchised, in my opinion, in Fresno, where I get to have a community garden, but not the type of community gardens that we normally see. Folks often make these grandiose things and discuss growing up in garden atmospheres or whatnot. Every single person whose house I ever went to as a kid growing up had a garden in the backyard, and we would help. And so there are things that people, that our ancestors, all of our ancestors, did in the past that we somehow have allowed organizations or entities to help push the narrative that these are new things that help our well-being and our lives, but these things are not new. These things are ancestral. And so my particular community garden, and much like your yoga, I wanted to have some soul. It wouldn't be a place where folks just, in my opinion, it would be more of an artist space. I want it to be all plants and flowers, and we have someone come and talk about why these particular flowers are edible and why these aren't. And where we can create nice bouquets of flowers and give them to community, or when there's a death in the community and we were all scrambling and doing all these different things, that maybe that could be the hub where, okay, we come here, let's talk about that. And I imagine it looking very not haphazard, but I don't like super neat. I like a lot of things, a lot of colors, a lot of atmosphere, and I really just want that so bad. And what scares me the most is when I daydream about stuff, then I try, I normally try to get it, but this one seems so difficult and scared to even daydream about it sometimes. So that's...
No, the fact that you said that, I'm getting chills, because that's been something I've been thinking about, like within the public health space.
Yeah.
Community gardens in West Fresno specifically.
And not have someone come and like talk down to us, or not make it, I don't want to, we don't have a florist in West Fresno.
No.
We don't, there's so many things that are lacking. And every time some organization says, oh, we have this money, they change the narrative from West Fresno to Southwest Fresno, Southeast Fresno. And because I'm in a lot of these organizations, I'm on boards and things, I hear the conversations, and it's so disheartening to recognize that that could have happened years ago. And it can happen now. There is funding for community gardens, but not in the way it's always to tell people, oh, y'all should grow this okra, or y'all should grow this and sustain your community. Did you ever ask the community what they wanted?
Right.
I'm really into that popular education model of asking folks what they need, and then we collectively try and provide it, myself included. If I wanted to do a garden there and I was granted that, I wouldn't just be like, all right, this is the Devoya show. Let's do this, folks.
Right.
That, in my heart, I know that that's inappropriate. I might want to do it like that, but that's not how it should go. So enough of that, though. Enough of it.
No, more of
I
that.
love it. So I feel like one thing that is a commonality is that daydreaming seems to be goal setting,
It is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's so healthy.
Yeah.
It is healthy. And healthy things often, in my opinion, take you out of that comfort zone a little bit. The change of it, the knowing that that might be possible, it's going to take a lot of work. And that's how I think daydreams kind of help assist us in our growth. You know, it's fun to do it and not have any consequences, but sometimes you got to push yourself a little bit more. Queen bee or worker bee?
I can definitely say worker bee. Because I do not, because even with my yoga practice and even with all of this, saying yes to this interview, saying yes to teaching yoga, it's like the antithesis of what I am. Like, I don't want to the forefront. I don't forefront. I want to help facilitate change, and I want to help be a part of it. And I think I have some great ideas, and I think I can make a big change, but I don't. It's something that I've butt up against so much, because even with this health coaching certification, I'm like, I don't want to be some guru on Instagram.
You sure?
Yeah. Oh no, it's saying, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it said connection is unstable. Okay.
Unstable for a moment, and now you're back.
Okay, good. Yeah, I don't really want to be a guru. I don't want to teach people to eat avocado toast and quinoa. I want to make a real change, and I feel like I don't know how to do that by being. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. No. Coming back to the worker bee thing. Like, I don't need to be in the forefront of something. I just want to have a part in it, and I want to make real change. So definitely worker bee.
Worker bee?
Yeah, worker bee.
Are you co-signing on worker bee, Jason? I saw you.
Oh, I'm queen.
Yeah.
front and center.
I'm as diva as diva can come. I'm so diva I forget I'm diva sometimes. It's
I'm not
I'll be like halfway through like my skin routine and I'll just be like, "What are you doing, diva?"
making sure I don't have bad skin. That's what it's called.
Right.
Nothing diva about that.
I honestly, I think probably a little bit of both. I think it just depends on the context. I think that if I'm on your team, I'm definitely a worker.
Right.
Uh, but if I'm left to my own devices, I'll become a queen.
It's queen teams then.
Hmm.
I can see that. I can see that.
We're 7 years in the fashion industry didn't help either. So.
Guys, yeah, it's
Sure. You gotta take one for the team sometimes, right?
I know. I catch myself checking out people's shoes more than I should. Probably. I'm probably sending the wrong message.
Mental note.
At least I'm looking down. I'm looking at the shoes.
Yes, yes. What song do you love that might be considered a guilty pleasure? If there's not a song that you consider a guilty pleasure, then like something pop culture oriented that you find that you enjoy, but you kind of think this is a guilty pleasure. I might not want nobody to know this. Except
I mean, I think everybody loves like trap music here and there. Like it gets the blood flowing. It gets, especially if you're working out,
okay, all right.
moving.
I co-sign on all the trap music, y'all.
Right.
It's just
But then- Yes, yeah.
It
But
just-
then
it just that-
my inner activist and womanist kicks in. But no, yeah. So that, and then I remember Celia, my daughter, went through this Taylor Swift phase. And, and so like there's sometimes when a Taylor Swift song comes on the radio, I might sing along. And that is a guilty pleasure for sure.
Okay.
For sure. Here and there. So trap and Taylor Swift. Yeah, balance.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. What about you, sir? Asked that question because last week Jason outed me as what my guilty pleasure was, and then I thought, you know what? I would do that to other people.
No shame. No shame.
There shouldn't be.
You were like,
Yeah.
Jason ambushed me so good that I'm gonna do it to everybody else.
That is exactly my takeaway. That was my takeaway.
I love it.
So I want to talk a little bit about how you came to be involved with the Holistic Center and about this Soul Stretch Yoga, because I'm so proud of you and just the growth over the years. It's just such an inspiration. And you don't know this, but sometimes I think about your progress in this whole journey and think, I gotta step it up. And not in a bad way. It's not in I hope you know that. It's all it's motivating for others to see people want to do something,
Right.
put the work in,
Okay.
modify it to suit your needs and the needs of others, and do it. And you just have, and I don't know, I don't think I tell you this enough, but I'm so proud of you. You really have done an amazing job at growth.
That means a lot to hear, because I am someone who is like habitually like, oh, it's not enough. You gotta do more, or you've done that that little thing is okay, but but there's more out there. And
Yeah.
so hearing that just affirms the work that I have done.
You
The
put in
work
the work,
that I
bro.
have done. Like I did do that work, and then I can see the progress. So thank you for saying that. I remember when I came to the Holistic Center, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I had completely severed, not severed. I didn't really even have a lot of friends. I didn't have many friends. I was just at home with my kids. I didn't have a job, so I was dependent upon somebody to pay the bills and everything. And And so I think there was a lot of self-esteem issues and just not really knowing who I was or who I could be. Like, which is so crazy from like looking back on who I was as a kid and a teenager. I was very feisty, very like go, go, go. And so just seeing the shell of a person that I became while I was a stay-at-home mom was like I just felt like a shell of a person. And so when I was introduced to you and I started going to Acoma and all the different workshops, it got me around you and other women that just affirmed who I was as a person and that it was okay to be who I was. And and just hearing women are struggling with anxiety and showing up in the world as powerful women. And so it shifted my paradigm completely, going to those meetings, showing up meeting after meeting and participating, and just being people reflecting back to me that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. You are good. And so I think that it set me out on a journey. It was a pivotal moment where it set me out on a journey to where I was tapping in, and I mean, it's crazy. I can't even explain in this amount of time what happened, but just sign after sign, person after person, opportunity after opportunity that came up and just took me further along. So it's definitely a testament to that whole, you take one step, God, the divine, takes the next two, or however that, verse is. It's, you seriously have someone that is working with you, or a power that is working with you, to, once you make the decision to step forward into your power and who you are, that will just catapult you along. And it's truly divine once you do it.
That's the energy. That's the intention.
Yes.
You're setting all those things out. And
Yes.
like you said, by taking that first step,
Yeah.
you are creating your intention, and the energy that you're bringing with you is pushing you. Yeah.
It is. It's just, it's
lovely.
crazy.
I love that. It's just hard to show the hands moving forward
Right.
on the podcast. So, but I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
A little more context, I will, for our listeners, just briefly explain. Dana mentioned Acoma, and that term is a West African term. It's spelled Akoma, and it's part of a set of concepts, and there are motifs that go with that. That's where Sankofa is part of that that list of concepts, and it's a women's support group named after that. And Dana joined the support group. I'm almost certain that its inception, it may have been at the very beginning, with a particular group of women of color, who all, unbeknownst to everyone in the room, each had a different issue they were dealing with. Only the facilitator, myself, would be made aware of that, unless participants felt comfortable to tell other participants. And your presence there, I do remember you being very hard on yourself. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say it now because we're good. Always concerned, like, I don't understand why she doesn't see what the rest of us see. And so it was easier to put in work when you know that there's something bigger than what is in front of you. But always trying to explain that there's nothing wrong. And there's nothing wrong with being a stay-at-home mom. That's not a just thing. That's a hard thing. Some of us choose not to take it seriously, and others do. And you took it seriously, and that shows. And it's nothing to be, you didn't, it wasn't a time that you squandered your time. You just focused on those little human beings
Yeah.
during a time of need, which is what we should all do, quite frankly. Oh, but in that same process, you lost a little bit of yourself. And I think a coma just helped remind you that you also need the kind of care and compassion about yourself that you have for your children and others. And so Dana was a part of the support group for a number of years. And then one day walked in and said, I would love to be a yoga instructor. And so when you use the peer-to-peer model, you try and uplift participants who have a particular desire to do something so that they can then uplift others in that group. And Dana not only went on to be a yoga instructor, but now teaches yoga at the Holistic Center. Since we're all quarantining currently, has made that available on YouTube, which is an even bigger hurdle.
Yeah.
You record every week, put yourself all out there. Then I keep adding things every week, Jason. I don't know if she's noticed, but it's little things, I'm trying not to bombard my girl, but it's just like, you know what? Maybe there's a particular theme for this particular one. And she's so sweet. She does do that, but she does it so good. And we get the backdoor analytics, and you don't even know it because we don't have time to talk. But just because someone doesn't click on that YouTube video and say, I like it, does not mean that hundreds of people are watching them or learning from them. And it just does my heart. I just feel so proud of you. And I know I've said that many times on this episode, but it's only because of this growth. And I see that the things that we invest in our communities help other people in the community. You're a prime example of that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So one of the things I thought would be a good question to ask, you were very particular when you wanted to set up a yoga class, and even asked, what could make yours stand out? Would you like to talk about the concept and what it is that you provide that may be a little different, and why it's important for Black and brown women to be able to walk into a space and not feel othered, especially within the yoga, I don't know what you call it. I don't want to call it the yoga industrial complex, but
that's accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty
accurate.
Yeah.
No, man. Soul Stretch. I remember when I decided to become a yoga teacher. It was at the Holistic Center. Actually, I was attending Sky's class. So she was doing an hour-long, she was doing an hour-long yoga class, and I just, there was no pretentiousness. There was no you have to have your alignment perfect, and you have to have this certain body to do yoga correctly. And it was very conversational, just the way she went about it, I felt comfortable. Right. And it was in that moment in those classes that I felt like I could do this, and I love yoga. Maybe I could bring it to my community. And so I went out on that journey and came back to you and said that I'd like to teach yoga classes. And, but I made the intention that I wanted it to be a free class, which is what the Holistic Center offers anyway.
Right.
I want to be compensated for what I do, for the time I put in, but I also want my community and people that are underserved to be able to come for free, because this is very much a practice that is exclusive. It's exclusive. It's so expensive. I remember the bitterness that built up in me while doing the yoga teacher training, and just wanting to go practice to elevate my practice. Just the amount of money that you have to pay for this practice that is so helpful in so many different ways. I just remember being very bitter. So I said, first and foremost, I want to offer the classes for free. So that was one thing. And secondly, I wanted the music to reflect like how I live, what a lot of our community, like how our community lives, and I wanted to be a more soulful class, just like, I mean, the name, Soul Stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Because not all of us connect to
That old boring music.
yeah. I'm like, how can I say this?
Sweet, she would never say it.
No, just say it.
I don't necessarily vibe to what feels like angels singing down on like, that's not my music. It has to touch me. It has to really, really touch me and move me. And so that was another part of it. And so I think that's what's different about Soul Stretch. And I like it to be as accommodating as possible and inclusive. So like, if you show up, man, there were so many classes where I would get messages. And there were so many classes where I get messages where like, I'm 8 months pregnant. Can I come to your class? Or I have cerebral palsy. I can't stand up. Can I sit in a chair? And so I'd be like, oh my God, it's 2 days until class. How can I tailor this class to make sure that they can participate? And I would do it every time.
I remember
the person showed up or not, you know. But it was just like, okay, in case this person shows up, how can I make them feel as comfortable as possible, and for them to know that yoga is for them too. You can do it in any body, in any state, in any, it does not matter. And so
your body needs it.
Yeah, your body needs it, and it should be available to everyone. That's what I don't understand. That's my biggest gripe.
You do understand, though. I mean, we had to kind of decolonize it.
Yes.
In order to bring it to people in a manner in which they felt comfortable. You got calls, but so did I. My calls are a little different than your calls. My calls are, will I be the only Black person there? Will I be the only big person there?
Yes.
All these different things, or I'm in transition. Will I be comfortable?
Yes.
So we get these sorts of questions, and I will say, it wasn't because of the Holistic Center. It's just the practice and the way that it's presented to folks in most communities makes it feel like it's exclusive, like it's elitist. And we wanted to destigmatize all of that, and make sure that people not only knew, and I don't know if you noticed this, every flyer, I made sure to put your photo on the flyer.
I know, yeah.
To do these things, to let folks know you're going to be comfortable. She's not wearing $100 yoga pants.
No. Sometimes it had holes in the bottom.
Y'all of that?
I show up in anything. No.
If you don't have a mat, we have mats here.
Exactly.
We have all of the products. We take care of the facilitators' time and efforts.
Yeah.
You don't have to. Come get this free healing and this recommended reading list. Yes. Along with a fire playlist that sends out on Spotify the week later. And I mean, it's all encompassing. You don't know this, but at one point I really thought, you know what, I wish she was a little bit older, because then we could collaborate on like a Wu-Tang yoga post. I've always wanted to do that. But I wasn't, he wasn't all about Wu-Tang, so I was like, man, if she was a little bit older, we could get down with this. I've always wanted to do Wu-Tang style yoga.
I will figure it out. I've dipped my toe in the Wu-Tang clan. Like, just dip my toe. But I know that actually
hip-hop shows, we would always have to stretch. And you can ask all the people I used to go to shows with. We would have to stretch in the parking lot before we went, because we were all older.
No.
And then afterwards, we'd be in the parking lot stretching. So I remember this. Do you remember the Nalbandian brothers, Ara and Armin Nalbandian?
No.
Well, Armin is the oldest, and I remember we were all stretching after a Black Star show in Oakland, and it was like 2:00 in the morning. And then other people saw us stretching, and it gave them license too. right?
Oh, wow.
All of these
Imagine, can you imagine?
folks are looking like, oh, it's okay. They tired too. And they
Yes.
start stretching. And before you know it, he's like, oh, we all out here doing yoga.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Hip hop yoga in this piece, because all the people that like the kind of hip hop that we like gotta stretch before and after if we're gonna be on our feet all night, you know?
No, man, that speaks to my soul. It really does.
We'll talk about it. Maybe a little side project.
Yes. Oh man. Yeah.
When the world opens up again, they'll be ready for it.
Yeah. This is the time. This is the time to plan for all of that.
So you had a teacher inspire you to be a teacher.
Yeah. But she
Big ups to teachers.
So
Yes.
now that we're in quarantine,
Yeah.
you used to offer Soul Stretch Yoga.
Yeah, and it's kept me in the practice.
Okay.
Because like I'm still a person that struggles with the home practice, that struggles with yoga, but I know that there's so much benefit in it, and when I get back on my mat, it makes me remember, you know, what I'm doing this for. And
Right.
so the weekly class, it's a challenge for me. It is. It's a challenge, but it's a welcomed challenge. It's something I said yes to because from going back to a coma, I think around that time is when I decided to start saying yes to life. And so it got me all the way here into this YouTube space where now I'm making these classes, and it's kept me moving forward. And it's challenging without a group of people to work with, but it's also helped me grow in my instructional game, like trying to figure out how to instruct people without seeing their bodies, without getting feedback. And so it's helped me grow as a yoga teacher and as a presenter and as someone who is still working on their own yoga practice. It's like, okay, now I need to make sure I'm on top of my practice so that I can be there for people who are trying to get on top of their practice. They're looking at me as a teacher. So it's kept me in it. It's kept me in it. Because if I had taken this break, I don't know where I would be. If I had taken this break from doing anything yoga, because a lot of yoga studios are closed down now.
Right.
Rightfully so. I do believe that, you know, you shouldn't be in a tight, closed space breathing on everyone.
You don't say.
Probably not the best thing to do right now. But it's just kept me in it from the comfort of my own home. And it's allowed people a free class.
Thank you for listening to the Holistic Happy Hour.